Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Wondered. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to move in with my girlfriend after 2 months? I, male 24, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend, female 27, about 2 months ago. I've known her for a couple of years, but we only really started to get close in the last year. She's also my first ever girlfriend, so everything was and is still new to me. One important thing to mention is that she already has 3 kids from her previous relationships. In the beginning of our relationship, I would only go over to her place during the weekends. This soon changed to also going over during the week, and right now, I'm usually home only 1 day of the week. She has been living by herself since she was 18, while I still live with my parents. We have a very good bond, and it's a lot cheaper than living alone. Since she's used to living alone, she has already started looking for a place for us to buy together, since she's currently renting a place. I feel like it's too early to be looking to buy something together because we've only been together for 2 months and are still getting to know stuff about each other. However, when I brought this up, she started questioning me whether I have doubts about our relationship, and when I said no, she said that it doesn't matter then whether we've been together for 2 months or 2 years. This ended up in a discussion about a couple of things. The first being if I really want to live with her and build a future with her. I said I really do, but it doesn't have to happen so quickly for me, that I'd prefer to enjoy things like they are now, at least for the time being. Since we've only been together a short time, I feel like if we were to buy something together and things do take a turn for the worse between us, we would be stuck with a house we'd have to sell, probably at a loss, putting us both down financially. That fear also comes from several discussions we've had about how close I am to my parents. She fears that I will never truly be able to let them go. I do have a very close bond with them. We've been through a lot together, and throughout all that, they've been the only people I have always been able to rely on. So, moving out to go live with somebody I've only been together with for a short time feels like I'm dropping them for someone I don't know at all that well yet. Since she's been living on her own for so long and doesn't have a good bond with her parents, she doesn't really understand me in this. I do get where she's coming from. When she's in a relationship, she will do anything possible to make it work and doesn't go into thinking it could end. She also wants stability for her and her kids. However, I did say before starting something with her that I'd like to take things more slowly and didn't want to rush anything. I'm also not saying I don't want to live together, but I feel like buying something right now is not a wise decision. I really love her and would love to build a future with her, but I feel like we'd have to get to know each other better before taking the next step. And you are absolutely right about that, OP. 2 months. 2 months in. And she wants to get you to buy something with her? That's absolutely crazy and ridiculous at the same time. First of all, the rule of thumb, although there are some exceptions, but not many, is don't buy real estate with somebody that you're not married with or in a contract with. So your gut instinct here is absolutely right. It's definitely not a wise decision. Also, when she mentioned that she says she's got fears about how close you are with your parents, I feel like she's laying the groundwork to try to isolate you from them. I mean, it's only been 2 months and you're already living with her basically most of the weekend. You don't see your parents, and you don't mention anything about your parents being upset or trying to control you or trying to get you away from her. So it doesn't sound like your parents are toxic, yet she is afraid of the relationship you might have with them. OP, you're 2 months into your first relationship. Right now, it should all be just butterflies and rainbows and not this kind of stuff, buying real estate and potential problems with parents and all that stuff. So if I were you, this is where I'd say it's been very nice, but this is where I get off. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Vice City Soundtrack says, definitely not the a-hole. 2 months is insane, especially since she has children. Seriously, what's the rush? She may have concerns you're immature or are too attached to your parents, but the 2 years versus 2 months things works both ways. If she's so confident, she can wait. Voicing a concern shouldn't lead to an accusation. That's what someone manipulating you might do. You can also rent. I'd recommend your own separate place first, so you have the experience. Varden of the Bun says, holy crap, dude, run for the hills. Don't walk, don't jog, run. 2 months and she wants to buy a house? She wants to isolate you from your parents? Yeah, no. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with her? If y'all are intimate, wrap it, double wrap it, triple wrap it if you must. Civil Personality 256 says, she's looking for a provider. You're looking for love. Don't let your first relationship be like this, where it starts off with you being pounded into things she thinks are right this early. She has to provide for 3 kids, and I think it might be best to try your luck elsewhere. Too many red flags this early, in my opinion. Burst says, you're 100% in your right to be concerned. This woman already had previous relationships where she moved too fast, had kids, and yeah, she's probably looking for someone to help take care of her, which is why she's rushing you. You're 24 years old, in your party years. It's not selfish to say you want to enjoy that. Don't get trapped into something you don't want. You had fun together, that's great. But you know that you can't give her what she wants. Not to mention, she latches quickly. You have another 8 years to figure it out. Just bow out now. Killa Campbell says, information request. If you're staying over there 6 nights a week, are you paying any rent, contributing to groceries or utilities, doing any of the cleaning or home maintenance? If not, there may be a reason why she's looking to change the status quo you're enjoying. And Dopey responds, I do pay for food and groceries from time to time. I also help around the house where I can, doing dishes, vacuuming, cleaning, changing bed sheets, but mostly looking after the kids if she has to work late. And Lil Bruja Robbie says, stand 10 toes down, good sir, not the a-hole. Your boundaries are so mature and valid. There's a thing called the 3-month rule, because many relationships fail after 3 to 6 months, if there's pre-existing issues. Always wait until after 6 months to think about anything serious. You guys definitely aren't adjusted enough as a couple to jump in head first. You were clear with her that you don't want to be rushed, yet she's rushing you. This might not be her intention, but she's guilt-tripping you with the interrogation. I have no way of knowing if that's intentional or not, but she's actively putting you in a spot where she wants you to feel like it's impossible to say no. That's not okay. That's not healthy. She needs to respect your wishes and make sure this is a boundary you enforce. Figure out what you gotta do for yourself if she turns out to not respect you, man. And Dopey responds, thanks for the advice. I doubt she's doing it intentionally. She's most likely just afraid to get her heart broken again. She's also went into it hoping that this would be her last relationship and we'd be together forever. And of course, I want this too. But I guess I'm more realistic in thinking something could happen that would make us break up. The community agrees OP is not the a-hole, and some are urging him to run while others are urging him to take his time before making a big life decision like this one. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. First of all, thanks for all the reaffirming comments. I forgot to mention a few things which I'd like to clear up as well. The moment I was there pretty much the whole week, I helped paying for stuff like groceries and takeout. When we went somewhere together, I also paid about half of the time. Last week, I even paid for a new pair of shoes for one of her kids since she was running out of money by the end of the month. She did ask me to loan it to her and said she'd pay me back when she got her salary. Besides that, I also helped around the house where I could by vacuuming, doing dishes, changing bed sheets. She still did most of the stuff though. I also saw some people say that she was looking to become a stay-at-home mom while I provided for them, but she actually just got a degree and started a full-time job. Now that that's cleared up, I'll continue with the actual update. We already had an appointment with the bank to see in what price range we should be looking. I thought it'd be interesting to know already, even though I didn't really want to buy a house yet. So we went there, got the info we needed, and when back home, she started looking at some more houses. She would show them to me, but I never really said much about them or asked to go look at them. A few days passed and things were pretty normal. We didn't really talk about the house much, so things felt like they were at the beginning and I could just enjoy being with her. Everything was good until Saturday evening. She was already annoyed by some stuff that happened throughout the day and by her kids who were acting up. So after we put them to bed, we had a conversation and at one point she got mad at me. The first thing she brought up was something stupid about my hairdresser. She had talked about me needing to go to a different one, which I didn't really want to because I don't like changing stuff for no reason. She then said I couldn't keep everything the same, like how I'm used to if we want to start a family together. Then she brought up the houses, how I never really say much about them, and how I'm insistent about one specific town I want to live in, which is not something she wants because she wants to live closer to her kids' school. By the way, I totally get her point of view, but on one hand, the kids won't go to school there forever, and there's also a school bus that could pick them up in the town I preferred. She then started throwing out that the only reason I want to live in the town of my choosing is because my parents live there, which is not the case. However, I do see that as a bonus. It was during this conversation I said I didn't really want to buy a house together since I thought it was too early. She then took this as me not seeing a future with her and me not being able to be independent without my parents. I then said that it's mainly because I want us to learn more about each other first before making a commitment since there were already things that bothered us about each other. She then asked what those things were, and I brought up that she always acts like I can't do anything without my parents. In the weeks before this, there have been multiple things concerning my parents she had trouble accepting. One example is that she asked me to stop and get a bread after work, which was no issue for me. However, I then started thinking by the time I get off, most bakeries would be sold out, and I'd have to try my luck with a vending machine. I then remembered my dad goes out to buy bread every day, so I asked him if he could bring one for me too. After telling her this, she got angry because I didn't go get it myself and asked my dad to do it, while my whole reason for asking is to make sure we got one in the first place, without having to drive around God knows where to find one. Stuff like that always ends up in a discussion about me needing to learn to be independent from them. I don't really see the issue with asking them stuff, but since she's been independent for so long, she has troubles with it. So when I brought it up as one of the reasons why I wanted to wait, she completely lost it, saying we've already talked about how I won't be able to ask everything from them, and when they are dead, I also won't be able to ask them stuff anymore. By that point, I didn't really know what to say anymore. Everything I tried to say would make the situation worse, and when I kept silent, she felt ignored. At one point, she said that she didn't even want to live together anymore, which got me thinking what I was even doing there then. I tried to explain that I might want to try renting first, but she didn't really say much about it. A few other things were said after that, but we then went to sleep. The day after this, we barely spoke to each other. When I tried getting closer to her, which is something she prefers, even after we had a discussion, she would move away or just not reciprocate. By the end of the day, we started talking a little again, and she talked about the renting I proposed, by saying it's just a lot of thrown away money and how she would lose her social benefits from being a single mom with 3 kids. To me, this was clear enough that she didn't want to do it then. At this point, I was seriously wondering how things would move forward now. We started having a discussion again where she said everything always has to be how I want it and I don't care about her and the kids, saying how she can't have a conversation with me because I either don't reply or give short responses. However, talking to her was very difficult since she often took things I said the wrong way or she just wouldn't accept what I was saying because it was different than what she thought. She also said how I'm making her unsure because of how unsure I am. But my uncertainties tend to come from my overthinking, something I have struggled with my whole life. The next day, I started seriously thinking about how we could continue after this. I started realizing how different we are and how we both want other things. One of us could probably change, but that would make them unhappy in the end, and even so, it would probably lead to other problems in the long run. Eventually, I realized that it would be better for us to break up. I ended up talking to her sister about it, someone who I know would see both our perspectives and had helped clear certain things up between us already. Just for context, her sister is married to my brother, so I've known her for a while too now. She agreed that it was probably for the best, since both of us are just very different in a lot of ways. Since I was staying at her place that day, she had a late shift and I was looking after her kids, it might have been best to say it right then and there, but I just couldn't. She was already tired by the time she got home and had to get up early as well the next day. Besides, I still love her with my whole heart and it broke me thinking about hurting her, so I just couldn't say it. The day after, I was going home anyway, like we agreed on before. I was feeling miserable all day, not even sure if I was going to make the right decision. I was so lost in my thoughts I could barely focus on my work. At the end of the day, I went home crying my eyes out, knowing what was going to happen. My parents and her sister were home, and I talked to them about it a little more, and they helped me make terms with my decision. I was wondering how I would best say it, since I didn't want to do it over text, but doing it in person would just result in my crying and not being able to say anything. I tried explaining everything as best as I could, saying how she's a wonderful person and she deserves someone who can make her happy without making her uncertain like I did. A while later, I got a response from her saying that I didn't really love her because if I did, I wouldn't give up already. She also guilt-tripped me by saying how the kids were starting to get attached to me, but that it's not my problem anymore and how I basically didn't care about them anyway. Also saying that she never asked me to change and how I shouldn't ask that of her if I really loved her. I tried explaining things, but at every turn I got a new response blaming me for everything, so in the end I stopped responding. I still really love her, which made the decision even harder for me to make, but I just couldn't see us getting over our differences. I do hope she finds someone who can make her happy, someone better than me, because she doesn't deserve anything less. Wow, OP, her messages were just dripping with manipulation. First of all, she shouldn't have introduced you to her kids, and her saying that after 2 months the kids had gotten attached to you, that's manipulative as hell. Also, very gaslighting of her to say that you shouldn't ask her to change because she never asked that of you. All she did was want you to change, to go against what you wanted about buying a house, to not have a relationship with your parents anymore. So honestly, OP, I wouldn't feel bad because I think you deserve a lot better. So on that note, here's wishing you the best, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user NoCommon7843. Sister-in-law insulted my kids, so I exposed her lies. Sister-in-law is the kind of mom that always has to one-up other kids. She constantly talks about how her kids are smarter, taller, faster, etc. than her friends' kids. She literally bragged about them peeing more than her friends' kids when they were babies, lol. It was worse when my husband and I had our twins. Suddenly everything was a competition that their kids always won. One of my girls rolled over at 4 months. Her son had rolled over when he was just a week old. The twins both took their first steps at around 13 months. Her daughter was running at 4 months. She didn't actually start walking until around 16 months. She even changed the weight of her kids' birth weights, which makes them both heavier than the current heaviest newborn in America. It's so weird that she feels the need to tell such obvious lies, especially to people who know she's lying because they were there when her kids were small. I got annoyed when she went from lying about her own kids to telling me there is something wrong with mine. The girls are a few months shy of 2 and they're both healthy, on track and hitting their milestones. Sister-in-law has become obsessed with the idea that there is something wrong with them because they're not speaking in long sentences. Of course they're not. They're not even 2. They're both developmentally on track, but she insists that her children were speaking in 5 or 6 word phrases by 18 months. Spoiler, they were not. Honestly, her son is almost 7 and I can still barely understand a word the kid says. My husband and I ignored her, but she took it too far when I got a call from her friend who works in early intervention, who was under the impression I was very concerned about my children. We talked and her friend confirmed that yes, they are on track and no, there's nothing to worry about. This made me finally lose my patience. Hey, her kids are breaking almost every record there is and that should be celebrated. We had dinner with my husband's family on Saturday. Kids were in another room, and I decided it was the perfect time to give her my gift. A booklet I had printed and laminated called The White Claw Book of World Records. I printed all the supposed milestones of her kids, complete with photo and information of the actual world record holders now that they had been pushed to second place. She flipped through the first couple of pages, went bead red, and called me an a-hole. Her husband took it from her and got through the first page before laughing hysterically and asking her why the hell she was still lying. Apparently, it was not the first time they talked about her lying about their kids. She stormed out, but texted me later that night and asked why I'd humiliated her when all she'd ever tried to do was help me get my kids the help they needed. But if that's how I wanted to treat her, then she'd stop. So I guess it's a win for me. Well, be sure, it is petty, but definitely well-deserved. I mean, who the hell does she think she is? Well done, OP, you definitely put a stop to it. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget